Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. You and I have a very good personal friendship and have had a good working relationship over the years, and I look forward to building it on that and working with you as the ranking member of the committee this Congress. One of my objectives and hopes would be to work together on the kind of common sense bipartisan solutions that we can achieve before this committee in a number of areas that I think various members of the committee have already identified and discussed among ourselves. We, you and I, as you indicated, have already sent a joint letter to inform the regulators of our concerns about the impact of the proposed Basel III requirements on community banks, insurance companies, and the mortgage market, and so we're off to a good start. I look forward to building on that. I also want to join with you in welcoming the new members of our committee. On our side, Senators Coburn and Heller, and on your side, also Senators Manchin, Warren, and Heitkamp. We welcome you to the committee. Today, the committee will hear about the ongoing implementation of Dodd-Frank. Academic researchers estimate that when Dodd-Frank is fully implemented, there will be more than 13,000 new regulatory restrictions in the Code of Federal Regulations. Over 10,000 pages of regulations have already been proposed, requiring, as is estimated, over 24 million compliance hours each year. And that's just the tip of the iceberg. Of some 400 rules required by Dodd-Frank, roughly one-third have been finalized. About one-third have been proposed but not finalized, and roughly one-third have not even yet been proposed. Together, the hundreds of Dodd-Frank proposed rules are far too complex, offering confusing and often contradictory standards and regulatory requirements. I'm concerned that the regulators do not understand and are not focusing aggressively enough on the cumulative effect of the hundreds of proposed rules, and that there is a lack of coordination among the agencies, both domestically and internationally. That's why it's important for the regulators to perform meaningful cost-benefit analysis so that we can understand how these rules will affect the economy as a whole, interact with one another, and impact our global competitiveness. An enormous number of new rules are slated to be finalized this year as a result of Dodd-Frank, Basel III, and other regulatory initiatives. And at this important juncture, we need answers to critical questions. First, what are the anticipated cumulative effects of these new rules to credit, liquidity, borrowing costs, and the overall economy? Ultimately, we need rules that are strong enough to make our financial system safer and sounder, but that can adapt to changing market conditions and promote credit availability and spur job growth for millions of Americans. Second, what have the agencies done to assess how these complicated rules will interact with each other and the existing regulatory framework? I'm hearing a lot of concern about how the interaction of some rules will reduce mortgage credit through the qualified mortgage rule, the proposed qualified residential mortgage rule, and the proposed international Basel III risk weights for mortgages, as an example. And third, what steps are being taken to fix the lack of coordination and harmonization of rules among the United States and international regulators on cross-border issues? For example, the CFTC has issued a number of so-called guidance letters and related orders on cross-border issues. The CFTC's initial proposal received widespread criticism from foreign regulators that the guidance is confusing, expansive, and harmful. Meanwhile, the SEC has not yet issued its cross-border proposal. There is bipartisan concern that some of the Dodd-Frank rules go too far and need to be fixed. A good starting point would be to fulfill congressional intent by providing an explicit exemption from the margin requirements for non-financial end users that qualify for the clearing exemption. Similar language to this passed the House last year by a vote of 370 to 24. The Federal Reserve Chairman Bernanke has confirmed that regardless of congressional intent, the banking regulators view the plain language of the statute as requiring them to impose some kind of margin requirement on non-financial end users unless Congress changes the statute. Unless Congress acts, new regulations will make it more expensive for farmers, manufacturers, energy producers, and many small business owners across the country to manage their unique business risks associated with their day-to-day operations. An end-user fix is just one example of the kind of bipartisan actions that we can take to improve the safety and soundness of our financial system without unnecessarily inhibiting economic growth. It's my hope that Today's hearing is going to provide us a starting point to address these critical issues and identify the needed reforms that we must undertake. And thank you, Mr. Chairman, again for holding this hearing.